Joel, recently Utah County borrowed $40 million to build a convention center in Provo. Do you think this was a wise use of taxpayer dollars? Why or why not?
First off, I want to say my number one issue was living within our means. Second, on the convention center, there are some serious concerns. Let me first say the decision has been made. The county commissioners decided to borrow $40 million and make that convention center happen. Now we've got to make it successful. But I think it's critical to analyze that decision-making process. First off, why did Utah County put in $40 million and why did Provo City put in $7 million? It started out in 2005 as a purely Provo City project. Provo City is going to get the overwhelmingly amount, the vast amount of benefits. Why did Utah County cut that deal? I don't know. Second, Pleasant Grove has a wonderful plans for a great convention center. And if you look at the feasibility study, it said Utah County can unlikely not support 2 convention centers. So why did we go off and build them with taxpayer funds when the one in Pleasant Grove could have potentially been built with completely private sector funds, not encumbering us for the next 20 years with more debt? That question hasn't been answered. We do know the TSSD out there has been emitting a lot of smell. The American Fork Chamber of Commerce calls it the #1 problem facing businesses in American Fork and Pleasant Grove right now, and the county commissioners are responsible for that, and they haven't solved that problem. Instead of building a convention center, if they had fixed the stink out there on the TSSD, we might have a convention center through the private sector. Finally, there's something called the restaurant, hotel, and rental car tax. It's about $5.5 million a year. $2.1 million of that comes from people outside our county. But over 60% of it is paid by you and me, mostly on the restaurant tax. We don't have a lot of destination restaurants here in Utah County, and so 80% of that restaurant tax comes from us. We pay it. And that is what is guaranteeing the debt on the convention center. It is that obligation that we are paying. My opponent will say, no, we're taking the portion that is paid by people out of county, and we're using that to cover the convention center. I vigorously disagree. That entire amount, which is 60% paid by the residents of Utah County, is obligated under that debt. We are paying for that convention center. With that said, I like discussing this. We're going to make that convention center a success. They've decided that. That's the decision. We're going to make it successful. But it's a different approach. My opponent was going to look at the government option first. I would look at the option of trying to remove the problems so the private sector could do it, so we don't have to pay for that with our taxes.
And this process started long before. I'd like to take credit for all of it, but I don't get to take credit for all of it. It started before I got in office. But what had happened is our economic development partners, Economic Development Corporation of Utah, New Skin, Novell, BYU, came to us and said, and Provo City came to us and said, we need a convention center. It helps it's vital for our economic development. New Skin's people are going to Salt Lake, Novell's going to Salt Lake, BYU doesn't have a place to have a convention, and we need a convention center. We looked all over the place. We went to Novell, said, will you build a convention center? We went to New Skin, said, will you build a convention center? Nobody, of course, would. Provo City cannot. It's not just a Provo City project, because by law, only the county can build the convention center. Those funds are not property tax funds, folks. They are tourist funds. We're taking the money from TRT, and there's a little misunderstanding here. We have several. We have 3 basic places that money comes from. TRT, which is a transient room tax. And that's not half the people in Utah County. Those people are out of Utah County. They come and stay in our motels or hotels. We don't have to educate their children. We don't have to fight their fires. We don't have to plow their roads. They come, drop their money, and leave. And we get the money for it. The one that Joel is talking about, I think, is the restaurant sales tax. That's called TRCC. And the studies, the independent studies, show that about 60%, 50, depends on which figure you use, but about 50 to 60% of that is actually paid for by people from Utah County. The rest of it is tourism work. The rental car is all, we get that from Salt Lake. That's our portion from the Salt Lake rental car company. Those are all out of county people. The convention center will be paid for by the TRT, the transient room tax. We've got plenty in that to pay for that convention center, and the car tax, the rental car tax. If we needed to, which we won't, we could dip in to some of that TRCC. We could use up to half of it. We got a 3.87 interest rate on our bonds. We got, and that's on the AA- rating. We got a great rating. The window for construction is still open for us. We're getting great deals on construction. We didn't just drop some plans and send it out there and say, what's that cost to build this? What are you going to charge us? We said, we've got this much money. What are you going to give us? This is what we want. And we got tons more in this convention center than we ever would have. It's going to be paid for by tourism dollars. You know, that's just the truth, folks. That's just the truth. Is that a quack? Oh, okay. And so I'm very proud that we're going to have this convention center. Now, the one in Pleasant Grove,
Thank you.
isn't going.
That was a quack.